I really, really, really love Hoi An. My friend, I've been bombarding you with articles, and I want to tell you that I appreciate the fact that I can do that I can inundate you with these articles and these concerns that I have. But I guess I need to clarify for both of our sakes that generally this is still a fantastic, amazing place to be. Let's see if I can catch this. I don't know if that's going to show up, but there are a gazillion dragonflies right here. Anyways, they clean this little park up a lot. They've got a ton of bonsai here. And it's got some apartment complexes back here. Little ancient playground for the children. But there are just a gazillion. These old trees here are amazing. That's why I like to come to this little park. They keep it very clean. A lot of bonsai. Look at this one here. This canoe-shaped bonsai with the long stretching structure plant here, which ends in that little palm. Totally cool. And there's some huge bonsai here, so you have to assume that these bonsai plants have been here for quite a while. And there's such a variety of plants and trees here. It's like, and I'm such a piss poor videographer. And the reason for that is because generally I have the selfie stick. I have a really good selfie stick now that extends quite a ways. I just got to get off my lazy ass and use it. But this is like a little bonsai park. Keep an eye on my bicycle. Hang on. Yeah, this totally cool bonsai park. Some little houses back here. I've actually never walked back here. There's a few houses and then I think it ends, or maybe there's a way that you can come out back there. But here's another one of these longish trees in a canoe-shaped holder, so ending in a different kind of palm. Just absolutely gorgeous. The old stone planters with the inscriptions on them and the reliefs that are carved into them. I love this park. This looks like some cute little apartments back here too. Yeah, it's off the main road. You can hear traffic noise and stuff, but trust me, like in Da Nang, it would be like 1,000 times worse. But yeah, there's probably 50 different types of plants and trees here. And you can see they've got some long growing vines that extend all the way down the side of that apartment complex. Some coconut trees back here. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And then, you know, centered by this huge monstrosity. This tree's probably hundreds of years old. I love that when it comes to these bonsai, there are so many here in Vietnam. And then they always have these little structures like a little Buddha or something like that. You know, speaking of which, like, you can walk around. And you know, I can leave my bike as long as it's within visual range. Here's a closer look at that one palm. Anyways, I love this park. It's a great little park. So I guess I've tried to do this in balance, and I will once again state for the record that it's a wonderful life. It is a wonderful life out here. And that's not going to be changing anytime soon. But storm clouds are on the horizon based on the news stories that I've been sending you. These are official news agencies. And you can see the depth of the lean in towards feminism and gender equality. Now, I know the reasons that the Vietnamese government is stepping into that quagmire. And I can't go into full detail about it for obvious reasons, but let me not digress into that, my friend. Let me tell you that, you know, it's 100 years away. By the time you walk down the streets of Vietnam and they change this culture, which is thousands of years old, to where you've got Vietnamese women walking down the street like the Western pig sow feminists in the West. Yeah, 100 years, my friend, 100 years. So please do not worry. You know, anything that alludes to the fact of that they're going to have some kind of gender equality or female empowerment, and that they're going to buy into this bullshit game that it increases the pace of progress and economy, you know, by 100% when you include the female into that whole equation. But the sacrifice, of course, as I've said, is your culture. Your culture goes down the toilet. That being said, I will tell you that the day-to-day ability to live a simple, quiet, peaceful life here, where generally you can mind your own business, you can stay under the radar, you can walk around a free man out here. You don't have to worry about anything that reeks of the negativity that you have in America and the West. And you know, I've listed those out. You know what they are. You're there. None of that exists here. I could sit out here for a decade right on this park bench, holding my phone like I am now, and you will not see a Negro or a Negress. No she-boons, there are no mandingos, there are nothing like that out here. There's no black privilege, there's no female privilege, there is no millennial dictard asshats walking around out here with a chip on their shoulder because their current existence and their future is fucking down the toilet. This place was made for men like you and me, bro. And it will remain that way, so I don't want you to be too alarmed. It's going to be okay. Like this gentleman here, you know, he's just out here walking the dog and having a smoke. Dog's got to take a shit. But, you know, he's not going to bother me. He's probably Buddhist, so it's a peaceful, amicable society out here. And I will say the Vietnamese people are very inquisitive. particularly if you're a foreigner. But they are also very polite, so they'll come right out and ask you certain questions like, are you married? Do you have children? Where do you come from? How old are you? You know, shit like that, that in the West, you're like, you know, nobody wants to offend anybody anymore. I was listening to a vlogger, and I'll just tell you in brief, Thomas, that, you know, he said something about, yeah, in the West, you know, people no longer want to be hurt by words. You know, that's one of the big parts of the woke cancel culture, is that people no longer want to have their feelings affected by words. So you have this stifling of basically free speech, or not really free speech, and also like factual truth speak. You know, they all want to hear the bullshit. They're all living in a zombie bubble. But out here, my friend, I can assure you that, you know, generally my occasional shock and concern when I see articles like that of which I sent you, because I don't want anything like that to ever happen out here in Vietnam. Fortunately, it will not in our lifetimes, but I would prefer it not happen ever, and that the place would remain as is. I can't imagine, you know, we're a little late to the party, my friend, but can you imagine this place 20, 30 years ago? Wow, it must have been just absolutely amazing. You know, let's say 20 years after the war, after the Vietnam War, when it was simpler and there wasn't all this, like, what was it, 85 or 1986, they cracked open the door to some sort of quasi-capitalism. In some regards it was needed, but you know, anytime you open that door to the plague of Western influence, then, you know, you get what you pay for, plain and simple. But listen, my friend, I want to tell you that, you know, this is such a fascinating, interesting place with sights and sounds, you know, visually and everything else. I never get tired of it. I truly don't. And there is a great need for improvement in many regards, but I sometimes think about the trade-off to that. Like, for example, I would rather have litter, like I do see here, which is a problem in Vietnam. I would rather see that than see feminists walking the street. You know what I'm saying? So I had sent you an email, and I'll just touch upon this briefly as well, that the last couple of years that everything had been shut down due to the Chinese virus, everything that had been shut down in regards to that, I mean, wow, what an opportunity to experience a localized Vietnam that was forced to kind of stop all progress and in some regards return to its roots. And I had an opportunity to see that, which was a very rare opportunity. And you know, people, the Vietnamese people kind of got back to their old ways in a lot of regard, because of the massive unemployment that occurred, and you know, just the wrecked aspects of the shock and awe that came with the pandemic. So they, you know, the simplified regression that occurred because there wasn't really anything for anybody to do because things were just completely shut down. You know, there were mandates and there was a lockdown, and all the people in the local, you know, in their local provinces and their local towns and villages and cities, you know, that was it. You weren't going anywhere else. So people stuck close to home, and they started to, you know, get back to the ancient ways of growing food and cooking and taking care of their homes and, you know, being with family, and it was probably a mirror of what the culture was like again those 20 or 30 years ago. So it was just a beautiful experience, and it's still lasting to some regard. I'm posted the video, of course, of the short video from sitting in the midst of downtown ancient town in Hoi An. And even with now March 15th is, you know, it's supposed to be this blow open of international tourism, but it's not really going to be the crazy, you're not going to get 20 million tourists this year. You may get 5. And I read an article today that said that generally, even when they open it up internationally, it's primarily going to be people coming from Thailand and Singapore. This is what the article actually stated. Japan, Korea, and Europe, they stated in the article, have yet to sort of release their people in a way to travel internationally, because a lot of these countries still have this insanity going on where if you leave the country and go somewhere else and come back, you know, you're in a world of hurt. So it will get there eventually. I told Ann Lee today, I said, we're gonna wait another year. And another article I'll mention real quick, which I'm still trying to figure out, is that Vietnam said that now if you enter the country, and this aligns with this international tourism opening, that if you enter the country, they want to make it so that you don't have to have a vaccine passport, nor do you have to show proof that you have recovered from COVID in the last 6 months. Those are 2 heavy qualifiers to get into a lot of countries yet, particularly in Europe. And not just Europe, there's a lot of countries, but Vietnam wants to dispense with that. So essentially what you're saying is that I could technically travel outside of Vietnam to wherever I may, and then come back through the airport, which would of course be Da Nang, and simply have to have in my hand a 72-hour PCR test. Excuse me. I say, man, that's pretty awesome, even though I'm not intending on traveling anywhere until every nation on the globe recognizes that you shouldn't have to have a vaccine passport, nor should you have to show that you have received a vaccination. Because I think it's suddenly becoming realized now that the fucking vaccine is completely ineffective. And the other great thing is, you know, I'm telling you some things here that you already know, which the dastardly globalists are like losing their minds over, is that Omicron is the antivirus variant. It's the cleanup variant, and they can't handle that shit, which is, we talked about why the war in Russia, Ukraine rather, began. They're always hopping from one crisis to the next, one chaos psyop to the next. But let me get back and just tell you that, brother, it's going to be fucking awesome for you out here. And I don't want to lose sight of that, and I don't want to cause you to lose sight of that. It's still okay, my friend, and I just, you know, I get a little wired, so to speak. My BP gets a little bit, you know, shaken when I read anything, anywhere, remotely about fucking gender equality and fucking female empowerment, man, because you and I are of a like mind when it comes to that bullshit. I don't like to see it. I don't like to hear it. I think it should be eradicated. I sent you that article about the new South Korean president. Man, how fucking awesome is that? He just basically came right out and said, fuck gender equality. And I read another article where he elaborated or that comment was elaborated upon. And he's getting beat up a little bit in the media naturally. But basically he came out and he said, listen, the women of South Korea are not being discriminated against and they're not being repressed. And I thought, you know what? They're calling him the Donald Trump of South Korea. And you know, that probably made a lot of liberal, progressive minds just explode. But yeah, so there's good to go with the bad, my friend. There's good to go with the bad. But I want to thank you for digesting and sharing with me, you know, not only the concerns over those things, but also adding to the conversation so that we and there are very few of these left, Thomas, so please hear me clearly. There are very few men like that, like us, left that have the fortitude and the ability to discuss these things. You know, men, they're so simped out now that I doubt very much, and the world is such a chaotic, just fucking insane place now that there are very few men left in the world that can have a very, very deep intellectual and emotional conversation about topics that are not necessarily pleasant. And that's all part of that woke cancel culture. These fucking zombies out here, you know, they don't want to hear nothing. Hang on. This little one came right out onto the street here to take a piss. It's gotta be a little baby. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. This is a perfect example of the kind of unique things that you just see day to day here in Vietnam, which, you know, if the poor child is and I know that the parents are not poor and they have a bathroom, but when you see a child come out and take a piss on the street, I don't think you're going to see feminism encapsulating the country of Vietnam anytime soon. Men like us can have conversations and talk about things without being afraid, without worrying about how, you know, whether we're going to be affected negatively or positively depending on the topic. You know, making the hard choices in life means also having the hard discussions and not shying away from them. And I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that a great deal. And in today's world, there's more hard, tough conversations that need to be had than easy ones. But again, the quote-unquote fucking zombies, you know, they don't want to hear anything hard. They don't want to hear anything, again, that negatively affects their feelings. You know, things like facts, things like things that should not be happening, things that should not be tolerated, things that are just flat out bullshit. You know, they don't want to hear any of that. They want to live in a fantasy world, a fantasy land inside their heads. You know, they want to shut everything down to a simple mental structure that provides them with the kind of lazy mental attitude that allows them to just be fucking, you know, zombied out. So I'm going to close, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. And I wanted a chance to verbalize these things to you as opposed to emailing them. So I wanted to let you know what was happening, brother. And, you know, in a verbal way, just let you know that everything is okay. Everything is going to be okay. And this is still absolutely the #1 place to be. And more so now that they've changed the immigration laws and they've diverted from being like these other Southeast Asian nations, which some of which are providing an easy way to come and live in and be a roach, be an expat Western roach long term. Like Cambodia, for example, where all the dickweeds that got kicked out of here ended up heading over to. Now you would think, let me just say this before I end. You would think maybe someone would say, well, geez, man, it does look like indeed the party is over. You know, it's just getting too complex and difficult. I'm actually being thrown out of the country. I guess I'm going to go back home to the West. You know, go back to my homeland of America and Europe. Maybe get a job. You know, kind of reevaluate. You know, try to think things through. The world has changed. The pandemic has changed a lot of things. You know, let's see. Let me be a man and, you know, or be a responsible person. No, 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 no. These fucking assholes, they all decided they would just go to the next roach-like country and, you know, be a deadbeat, low-rent piece of shit there. And that's what they did. They all went to Cambodia or the Philippines or Thailand or Bali, you know, and some of those are iffy as far as long-term stay. Cambodia primarily is the go-to spot. That's the place where most of these punks, these dirtbags ended up heading to. So I went to Phnom Penh the one time and I was not impressed. I was like, there's no way. I walked quite a bit in very extremely hot weather. I visited some temples. Pardon me. I visited some temples there. I walked a lot. I went through the main market there. And if you really want to get a feel for the place and the culture, you definitely want to head to the local market. And I did a lot of walking around at night, actually, as well. I took one long walk at night, and yeah, man, it was just kind of a little creepy. So yeah, that's not a place you want to be, but, you know, that's what these deadbeat roaches do, you know. Go back to the West? Huh? I can't afford to live there. Sons of bitches. You know, they come out here and they get some kind of, honestly, I can't figure it out, some kind of bullshit income source, be it drop shipping, you know. Can you imagine that kind of bullshit where you buy products from, I don't know, say Vietnam, and then you sell them online and you provide the shipping resource to get them from point A to point B, you know, for a few shekels, so that you can live in a $300 apartment in Vietnam and eat, you know, dollars a day's worth of food and just be a complete roach. There's a photo I'm going to send you of an example of one of these deadbeat bums that are, there's not many, but there are still some that are here and overstay and just haven't gotten the message to get the fuck out yet. Sooner or later it'll catch up to them. Anyways, brother, I gotta go. I gotta get home. I'm gonna enjoy a few more minutes in the park because it's about 12, almost 12:30 now. And the only people that are out here are people that have to be. It's kind of nap time and chill out time for most of the people. After lunch for a couple of hours, things will pick up again about 2 p.m. and it'll go like that. All right, brother. Good talking with you, and I will. I'll do another one of these soon, my friend. All right. Peace.